On today's show, we'll talk about a simple tool Leverage uses to keep our online meetings productive. It's easy to use and integrates with Slack and mobile devices too. Check it out and see if this innovative solution will work for you.
Hi guys, it's a small webinar today. All right, well, it's 4 minutes, so let's get started. So today's webinar is going to be about Zoom, which is the tool that I'm using right now to do this webinar. There's a bunch of competitors for screen recording and also for on-demand video conferencing. But Zoom I found to be the best. I mean, there's GoToMeeting, there's Appearin, you have Uber Conference, there's a whole bunch of them. But Zoom is great for a lot of reasons. It's the most stable that I found. One negative is you have to install some software. But they have a Slack integration and they have this webinar platform. So let me just show you a couple of really cool ways to use Zoom. Okay, let's just bring this out. Okay, so one thing is when you set up a Zoom account, you get a unique URL for your Zoom. So it's called a personal meeting ID. So one trick that I suggest is you buy a domain name like zoomwithbob.com. And if you set that up, this is something that you could give to us to do for you. But a great trick is you just create a really nice domain name, and Zoom with X is probably something that's not super popular in GoDaddy, because this is really hard to remember, but this is easier to remember. So you can set up a domain name and have it forward to your unique URL here. And that way on calendar invites, when it has to be a video conference, you can just put zoomwithnick.com or zoomwithmelissa.com. So that's one thing that's great. You can record phone calls. So, and you can set in your preferences defaults. You can access all the recordings. So you can record it locally to your computer or to the cloud. So here are all the cloud recordings. If you're paying for the webinars, you can see that here's all the recurring webinars. So this is today's webinar. Just make sure anyone have any questions so far while we're going. Does anyone have any questions? It's always weird doing these webinars where I'm not interacting with people. All right, let me go back to sharing screen. So you can see here's the webinar, it's recurring. And I've set it so that people have to register. So here's the registration link, and it shows me how many have registered, how many are approved. And in this list, you can see I've approved everyone. And there's some really great features with webinar. So for instance, you can see right now I'm speaking with you. There's not a whole bunch of boxes on the screen like there are on a normal Zoom session. So I can control that I'm the panelist and then everyone else is an attendee, but then I can promote people to panelist and then we can speak and share screen. People can raise their hand, people can chat, all things that you can do in a regular Zoom as well. But what makes it really cool is the Slack integration, which we use all the time. So let's see here. If I want to talk to Melissa, I can do /Zoom, and on the fly, it creates a Zoom link, and I click that, and I'm in a unique room that I can then just be in a chat room like this and speak with Melissa. So today's a pretty quick webinar. It's not that much to go over with Zoom. You can dial in as well in case you're on your phone and you don't want a video. You can just use the audio and stop the video, and you can chat. And even on this webinar, there's Q&A and polling. So that's it with Zoom. If John or Joseph, if you guys have any other if you have any questions about Zoom or anything else, feel free to post a question. No questions? Is there anything that Zoom can't do? Well, one thing that I mentioned before, you have to install Zoom. So there's some tools like appear.in where you can do it all from the browser, or Google Hangouts is one. You can do it from the browser. So some people don't like to install software. So this is not the tool for you if you don't like to install software. Zoom has a paid account and a free version, I believe. But on the free version, you're limited to how much time a meeting can be, and then it shuts off. We pay for the pro. I think it's around $10 a month per user. So no, I think that from in my opinion, Zoom can do everything GoToMeeting or any of these others can do. I think GoToMeeting is more popular for webinars and large audiences. But like this webinar here, I can have up to 100 people, and if I wanted more, it's like an extra 30 or 40 bucks a month. Hey, Ash. Any other questions, guys? Cool. All right. Well, if no more questions, that's it. I'll stick around for another few minutes and just answer random questions. Or if you want to do a video with me, I'll promote you to panelist and we can chat. Cool. See you, Joseph. See you, Joseph. See you, John. Does Zoom have any integrations with Zapier that could be useful? Good question. So one thing, I don't know where we're at with it. I think that we've set it up, but yeah, the recordings that are going to the cloud, you can use Zapier to post those links to, say, a Google Drive folder, for instance, or a Google Sheet to update the URL of that recording. So that is one way that you can use Zapier. I'm sure there's other Zapier integrations that I'm not thinking of, but that's the only Zapier integration we use right now with Zoom. But if you're using Slack, like how we suggest, that /Zoom feature, I can't tell you enough. That's probably the most used integration in Slack that I do, because so many times you're chatting with someone and it's just, hey, let's just get on a call and talk this out in a minute. And you don't have to, it's so much faster than even typing my personal Zoom link, just /Z, and then it auto completes to Zoom. Any other questions? One thing I've used on Zoom during meetings is the annotate draw feature. I don't know. Annotate and draw feature. There's a couple questions. I've never actually used the annotate draw. Do you wanna share your screen and show us how to do that? How does the notice to notify the participants? How do the reminders sent to registered? It's just a setting, Ash. So we have a setting on the webinar where you get an email like the day before or the day of. So that's just a setting. But the notifying, you can do that with the built-in stuff with Zoom, or you can just set an automated on a recurring schedule with Zapier. Okay, Melissa. Yeah, I'm on a special version of Zoom right now for the webinar, so I can't show that. Any other questions? All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining, and I'll see you next week.